Right, so I've been living with the GoPro for a while now, making several videos, so I thought I'd just give you an update on how I'm getting on with this camera, and gotta say, kind of love it. I've got my head around the workflow. The camera produces gargantuan file sizes when you use ProRes or Cineform, but they're pretty manageable when you use X264. So I would much rather save time than having the quality just a little bit better, and it saves a lot of time. So I've given up with Cineform and ProRes, so it's just X264, and that's great. I'm loving the VR footage, the 360 VR footage. It is awesome. It is so useful to review my flight lessons. It's brilliant. I can look wherever I want, see what the instructor's looking at, what I'm looking at, what I'm doing with the controls, what the instructor's doing with the controls, all things I would normally miss. I mean, trying to absorb all the information when you're up there for an hour, so everything the instructor's telling me, what the plane's doing, how it's handling, what the controls are telling me, all the readouts are telling me, I just can't take it all in. It's just impossible. So I watch and rewatch all the footage, and it's been brilliant. I love it. It's helped me so much. What I've also been doing is playing the video footage alongside the flight sim. So I have the video playing beside me on my laptop whilst I play the flight sim, and I try and replicate the flight as best as I can with all the radio commands, control checks, etc., the FRIDA checks. If you're new to flying, we do FRIDA checks every so often. FRIDA meaning fuel, radio, engine, direction and altitude. So it's invaluable. It's an invaluable resource for revising on what was done. So that's brilliant. In terms of editing, I've kind of got that down really well now, and it's pretty quick now. Pretty quick. The longest stage is the upload to YouTube. I'm not kidding. It can take a day at least to upload an hour's worth of footage, and that's obviously down to my terrible upload speeds with my internet service provider. But the procedure now is I've got 2 SD card readers, because downloading straight from the Fusion is very slow. Even though I'm using USB 3, it's very slow. So I've bought 2 USB 3 card readers, one obviously for each card, and then it's super quick. Well, I say super quick, it takes about 10 minutes at the most. So that's step 1. Step 2 is then to stitch it together, and the PC does a pretty good job of that, and that will take about an hour to stitch an hour's worth of footage together, so that's not too bad. Then I just ping it across from the PC to the Mac via Ethernet. That's pretty quick, a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes to do that. And then I do the editing in Final Cut Pro, and then I get Final Cut Pro to render that down, and that takes about an hour as well. And then the long bit, which is uploading to YouTube. But that's it. So it's all working quite well. I kind of like working on the 360 footage more so than the regular. I guess, would it call it 2D? I suppose it's all 2D, isn't it? But you know what I mean. There's the regular footage. There's the single view footage. It's quite useful, but certainly for videos like this, where you guys don't really need to have a look around unless you're really bored. But in the flight videos, having that facility to spin around is incredible. And when I show other people it, they just love it. It's so good. So that is it. So just to recap today, if you've seen the other video, we didn't get any footage in air, simply because I didn't check the SD cards were seated correctly in the camera. So not really the GoPro's fault. If you're wondering why I'm jump cutting now and then, it's because if I say GoPro, the camera listens for another command, and sometimes that command might sound familiar to it and it does something strange, and it's being not shutting down, but turning off the recording. So I'm going to try and refrain from saying GoPro and then something else. So I'll say camera from now on. So yeah, not the camera's fault for the lack of flight footage today. SD card not seated properly, so I will of course check that. In terms of having the camera mounted in the aeroplane, I've got a sucker for the window. I don't use the internal battery because I've heard the camera overheats quite quickly. So the camera battery port is empty with the camera battery flap open to allow airflow. Long lead to a big battery pack which is stowed behind the my seat in the airplane, and then the audio recorded separately on a Sony voice recorder, usually via a direct link to the audio out of the airplane, but today it was via the lav mic which was stuck inside the headphones. So yeah, all going well, great stuff. I'm enjoying the camera. I can enjoy it a lot more now. I know how to work with it pretty quickly. Final Cut Pro handles it really well, really easy to use on Final Cut Pro. And Final Cut Pro also puts all the metadata automatically to tell people like YouTube that it's actually a 360 camera, and so I don't need to worry about putting metadata in to tell YouTube that it is a 360 camera. It does it all automatically. Fantastic. Okay, that's all. Ta-da.